Hello and welcome to the Chatty Corner, where we talk about our experiences as a modern Hmong American woman.
Today, you're listening to episode 1 of our podcast, Living Through COVID.
My name is Passion and I'm the hostess.
My name is Michia and I am the co-host.
So in today's episode, we are going to be talking about living through COVID. We know that a lot of people had many different experiences during this time, and so many people have lost their relatives and their loved ones, and many people were actually going through a life-changing experience because we all know that during this time we were all locked at home and time was really slow. I mean, I don't know how it was like for you, let's go back all the way to the beginning of COVID. Like, what were you doing when it first got announced?
Still in school. It was mid-semester, so there was a lot of midterms. I was going through personal relationship issues, my family. I had a lot on my plate, and when I heard of the China virus, a virus from China, I was like, okay, like, whatever. It's not a big deal, you know? But then it was just around the time where spring break was coming, and they ended up at Chico State, because I go to Chico State. They extended our spring break for 2 weeks, and then they just kept extending it, and then they were like, okay, well,
I remember that.
Yeah, and they were like, okay, well, we have to teach you guys because we can't just keep extending it. And then that's where everything moved on to Zoom, and that was horrible for me. Online school is not my thing, so it was definitely a big shocker to me that it became such a big deal, because to me, I didn't take it as a big deal.
Yeah, honestly, because a lot of my siblings were at school at that time, and then I wasn't anymore because I already graduated the semester before. But I remember just seeing my sister struggle with that, because if you think about it, I think Zoom just came out, right?
The last year, got super popular. I don't know if they were actually platform
already before COVID,
but I know they didn't have the capability to hold Zoom meetings. That's why it kept breaking last year
with the mass the massive amount of people that were onto it. I mean, it's all around the world. I mean, you think about it, everyone knows what Zoom is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
internationally. It's crazy.
Exactly. It's freaking crazy, and it's it was so funny because I remember just her struggling about that, because she was like, I don't even know how to fucking use this. She was like, and you guys had to constantly check your emails every single day. I remember that, and it wasn't just daily too. It was the whole day, right? Because some teachers might be posting it that night or that morning of what you guys are supposed to do and stuff like that. And deadlines were changing for you guys too.
It was a huge learning curve for both the students and the teachers.
It really was.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this though, they did so much better the semester after that.
Which
I went to Chico State after that. Yeah.
Where were you during that time?
So during that time, it was funny because I was actually supposed to work that day. When the day I got that it was announced that, we need to be in lockdown, was actually the day that I was actually going to start my first job in a while, because I took a break, and I had to talk with my mom, and she was like, well, I know you're taking a break, but at least try to get a small minimum wage job or something,
right?
And
just get the momentum going so that you're not stagnant.
Yeah, and then I was sad and depressed, because I was I just got out of a situationship. So if y'all don't know what a situationship is, you know what I mean, it's a new. I mean, I think it's always been around. I think it's just no one had a name for it. But it's where you're
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're in a situation with some person, man, woman, whatever it is, but you guys act like it's in a relationship, but you're not in one. There's no fucking
doing
title.
all that. What is it? What does TikTok say? Doing wifey duties on a girlfriend rate.
Oh my god.
Doing girlfriend duties on a friend rate.
On a friend rate. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a simp. I'm gonna say that now. I really am. And I have a big heart. So, and for this dude, I mean, honestly, I don't regret anything, because I'm in a better place now, so I don't hold grudges anymore. I'm not mad at this person anymore. I'm way past that. It's been I think it's been good 3 years since that happened. Oh, about to be, right? Because this year's almost over. So it's about to be 3 years since I've healed, and I'm in a better relationship right now. And I wish nothing but good health and wishes for this person. And you know, because I'm tired of holding grudges. But at that time, I was just so heartbroken. Like, you know, I make a joke like I would have slashed his tires and fucking threw eggs at his fucking car if I wanted to.
I would have helped.
Maybe pour sugar in his fucking, you know, freaking oil tank or whatever. But you know, I was just so upset because of how we ended, and then that hurt me so much that I actually, like, I went through a whole depressing moment, and then I think that's when I wasn't working, I wasn't going to school, I was just staying home watching my little brother because he was only like 3 or 4 at that time, and but everyone else was doing other things, so it worked out anyways, right? But while I was doing that, I was finding myself, you know, looking for who passion used to be, I guess, before the relationship, and it's really hard to do that because I was in that situation for 3 years,
right?
But
the COVID kind of gave you that space and time.
It really freaking did, dude. And I wouldn't, like, I don't want to say I don't regret COVID. I don't want to say that, but I do want to say that shit helped me.
You don't regret the time that you got to yourself.
Yeah, I don't, but I do, like, man, I do feel bad for the rest of the world that, you know, where it was unfortunate, but I feel like it was good on my end. You know what I mean?
And then we can go on to a different topic even on this, but we want to keep it, you know, with experiences we went to, but
yeah, you
know, the fact that it took a pandemic for us to all find time for ourselves and our family,
for everyone, yeah,
is so ridiculous. You know,
it really was, because I could talk to anybody right now and they'll be like, honestly, yeah, I figured I found myself during this time.
Yeah,
and it's like, I think God was doing something. I mean, I'm not religious, but if there's a higher power, they were doing something.
They were doing something.
I mean, not with all the deaths, though. I apologize for all those that's happened to other people, but you know what I mean. Like, it was doing something. You know, a lot of things happened in COVID, and I feel like a lot of realization is what happened, and a lot of healing.
What do you think is your, like, biggest realization for 2020? List them.
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm always having a realization moment, which is amazing, because I think when you start doing that means you're thinking. A lot of people don't think when they do things, but I'm starting to do that now, and I think I'll like list like 2 or 3 just because, like, I don't really remember much, but I think the one thing is that I had a realization that because I was going through so much trauma in that last relationship, that I realized that I don't remember much about my childhood memories. Yeah, because the trauma that was happening, that I was dealing with, I mean, at that time, and I went through like a depression, period, that I was so focused on that I kind of lost the space in my brain for my past memories, which were my childhood memories, because my sister, I think I noticed this when my sister was talking to me, like, oh yeah, like, Passion, remember when we did this and this and this when we were younger, and like you did that? And I was like, no, I don't remember that at all. And she was like, we've talked about this before, like, why do you mean you don't remember? I was like, dude, I don't even remember it, because when you remember, you see an image, right? You have like almost like a video that plays in your head. I did not have that. It was just blank.
I can definitely relate to that. So, like, last year I had super short-term memory. It was horrible. Like, you know who I am. You know, I'm always on top of my shit. Right?
You do have a pretty good memory, though.
Yeah, but last year during that transitional time, I forgot everything. I had meetings, I had homework, I had like people to call, and I would just not remember any of it. I would wake up the next day like, oh, like, I had a meeting with this very important advisor and I totally forgot about it. And I had a therapist at that time, and she was just like, oh, you should go get your brain checked for like brain injury, or like in case something went wrong. And I'm like, nah, I don't think there's anything wrong with my brain. You know,
it was more like an emotional, mental thing. It was physical.
Exactly. I was emotionally so drained that it took everything just to eat, breathe. I was in survival mode, and a lot of papers are written about COVID, about how like everyone went into survival mode during this time. And so I definitely was just going through survival mode, trying to eat, sleep. Like, I was also like super depressed during last year, so.
Yeah. Oh, another thing you guys didn't know is that like Pache and I actually went through COVID together. Like so what's funny is that Pache and I weren't friends at all. Like
Nope.
I
We
think
knew each other.
Yeah,
We were in the
'cause, like,
same circle because my ex-boyfriend was friends with your group of friends.
but even before you even met your ex-boyfriend though, we already knew each other.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because
We went out the same elementary.
your
same
little
middle
sister
school.
was the same grade as me.
Yeah, and then we went to the same elementary and middle school, and so like, and I was friends with your brother. Yeah, because
Yeah.
we were the same age, and you and my sister were the same age, and so like, and then I put in your like we saw each other's faces all the time, and so we weren't close as we are now, which is so funny how things just work the way they do.
Yeah, the last person I thought would be my best friend, was you.
Yeah.
Like, if you went back 5 years, I'm like, nah, no way.
Heck no, I wouldn't have thought at all. I mean, but even then, like, I didn't really know you either. And so, because even my sister wouldn't like, we didn't, for some reason, like, my sister and I never really talked about our friends to each other that much. It was more like,
I feel like you and your
I don't
little
know.
sister got closer this last year.
Honestly, so funny. I feel like we got closer since she got married because she's not at the house. It's funny like how that works. I mean, like, and of course our relationship continues to be better and like stronger, but like I think it just got better when we started to be more raw with each other. I think that's what it was. And it there was hurtful times, there was really good times, but I feel like that's what created that trust. You know what I mean? Which COVID had to be a part of that too, because when we were both going to school and going to work, we barely saw each other. By the time I got home, she was like sleeping, and like I was like trying to either study or trying to go to bed too. So like, and we were opposite sometimes. But another realization was like, now that you said that, it was I got close to my family, which is what happens when you slow down time, right? Because I feel like we live such a fast life because everybody is doing something different at every hour, right? It's like, okay, well, I have this class. Oh shit, now I have to make it to like a meeting, and then it's like, oh shoot,
You're so busy. Everyone has different schedules. You never meet up.
I have to go eat.
Yeah.
It's funny because our generation, we forget to eat sometimes.
Yeah.
I see it a lot happen where we're so busy we forget to eat, which is funny because I think with the type of privilege that we have now, I don't even know sometimes what hunger is. So I don't know when my body's hungry.
Yeah, I totally feel that because when I was still in school, I still am in school, before COVID, pre-pandemic, I would if I remembered to pack lunch, I'll pack lunch, and then I'll be studying all day, and then I get home at 11, 12 p.m., and I'm like, okay, I have to, or 12 a.m., and then I have to go to sleep, wake up the next morning, skip breakfast, eat lunch if I packed it, go home, so it was really hard to find time to eat. But now, now that post-pandemic, because I was able to really eat breakfast and lunch because I had all the time in the world at home, I was able to really understand how my body works, how my food intake is so that now today I'm able to okay, I know I'm hungry, I know what I like to eat, which is crazy because you should know how your body is naturally, but it takes time.
Yeah, no, and I totally understand it, but not just that, but it's also hard to do that too, because actually you moved out.
Yeah,
I
moved out.
So you moved out.
Moved out last year during the pandemic.
You definitely had to take full on control on what you do now, which is it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because now you're just oh fuck, now I have to, now you don't have time, right? But for me, it's I still live back at home. I still do it now, and it's yeah, I don't have to take out the time for me to cook. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, it depends. But then, most of the time I don't, because either mom and dad is bringing food home, or they're making food or something, and I could actually take that time for me to do something else. And so, but for some reason, I felt what you felt too, where I was because there are times, because both my parents work, everyone's doing their own thing. There are times where no one would cook because everyone's just so tired, and everyone's already cooked for themselves. That there was a time where I didn't know how to tell if I was hungry because I was so busy that I forgot. And it's the same thing with hydration. I never knew when I was thirsty.
Right.
Yeah. So
it was interesting because pre-pandemic I was living at home, right? And so it was the girl, the daughter's job to make dinner, to make food, to make meals.
Yeah.
And so you're like feeding other people, not necessarily yourself. And so moving out, I'm like, okay, so now I can focus on myself only. And so like I was able to, during the pandemic, really focus on just myself. And it sounds a little selfish coming from like a Hmong background.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because you're taught to always cater towards your family. And so I was able to not do that. And I'm really grateful I got that chance to, get out of the house, stay out of the house, and just take care of myself.
In the Hmong culture, like, I was actually very, like, the traditions and stuff, I'm actually really glad that you made the move that a lot of kids aren't able to make. But there are a lot of students who were able to make the decision you make too, which was to go to school far away and to live on your own, because a lot of, I understand too why parents are so afraid, because they feel like they failed, because it's like, we couldn't love you enough for you to stay and focus on school, but they're not realizing that they're holding us back.
Yeah, when I moved out, I got told on by my sibling, my brother.
Yeah, I remember you told me this. I was so pissed.
And I was not ready to tell them, and I'm kind of glad it happened that way, but at the same time, I was like, what the fuck,
It was a ripped Band-Aid.
It was a ripped Band-Aid, and I came home, and I was out late, and, girls shouldn't be doing that, but I was out late, and my mom was calling me, and I was like, oh, shit, something's wrong, because my mom never calls me.
Yeah. Oh, I remember you telling me that you're like, if my mom ever calls me, like, I know something bad happened.
Yeah. So whenever, because not today, because I feel like me and my mom are a lot closer, but back then, I'm like, usually she texts us or sends a voice message, and she was like calling me, and I was like, oh my fucking god, what happened? Like, and then Paul, my brother, texts me, hey, I just told mom and dad, good luck, and we're all in our bedrooms. And so I'm like, no fucking way.
The one thing I love about that text is we're all in our bedrooms. Because you know why? We do the same shit at our house. If you come home, mom and dad are angry cooking dinner, we're all in the rooms.
Good luck coming in. I was like, no. And guess who I was with? My situationship.
Oh, shoot.
And we weren't like even like close,
Oh,
but
man. Okay, I remember this happening because you text me this.
Yes.
Yeah. But it wasn't until I think a couple days after.
Yeah. And I don't know. I was freaking out, and he was like, "Yo, you're gonna be fine. Like, trust me, you're gonna be fine." I'm like, "You don't know my family. You don't know anything about me, And he was like, "No, just call me if anything goes wrong." And I'm like, okay, sure."
I thought you were with your man's now that when that happened.
No, I was with, that was way back. That was way back, like, June.
Wow, that was way back.
Yeah, that was way back in June.
Oh, shoot.
And maybe even July. I don't remember. My lease was July. No, it was June. I'm pretty sure it was June. And,
Yeah,
I was seeing somebody, and, we were just having a situationship type kind of deal, and I was like, okay. And so he drops me off at my house, and like I'm like, no, don't make me go in my house, don't make me go. And I spent like a good 10 minutes like freaking out, and he's like, okay, like, you're gonna be fine, just let me know if anything happens.
He don't, because he don't know what your parents are like, well, especially your dad.
Exactly.
Know what I mean? Like, your mom's a sweetheart, but your dad, oh man, he is a hardcore, like, was he a Vietnam vet?
No.
Okay, he ain't that hardcore. Just kidding.
Nah, that generation for me was
your grandparents.
My grandparents.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Okay, that was my grandparents too. Okay. Yeah. Well, your dad looked like he a Vietnam vet. Okay, he looked like it. But he's pretty hardcore, and it's like, to me, like, I don't even gotta know you like that to know, like, you know what I mean?
Anyone sees my dad, they're like, okay, unapproachable. Well, sometimes some people are like, oh, your dad looks so nice, and I'm like, have you seen him talk? Have you heard him talk?
When he smiles, he looks the sweetest. I've seen him smile.
He's
an
odd one. Let's just put it like that. Okay.
Aren't all dads odd?
And like, I walk into the house and it's dead quiet.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, like 10 10, almost 11, and usually no one's really sleeping by that time.
By the way, all the Hmong kids that are trying to like move out, listen to this, because I don't think your guys' stories would be this extreme.
I hope not. I really hope not.
She had a sibling rat her out.
And I told them all, like, a few weeks before. I'm like, okay, I'm moving out, you guys. Just letting you guys know. They're like, oh, when are you telling mom? When are you telling mom and dad? And I'm like, I don't know. But I'll tell them. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and then it's dead quiet. And so I walk down the hallway into my bedroom. My room's right across from my parents. And so I, like, listen. I'm like, okay, maybe they're sleeping. Maybe, like, fingers crossed, nothing's gonna happen. And so I go into my room, I close the door. And then a couple, like, minutes later, I'm, like, texting my situationship, like, oh, like, coast is clear. My mom knocks on the door, and I open it, and she's like, I heard, obviously in Hmong, like, that you're moving out.
Okay, so for all the Hmong kids, say it how your mom said it. Like, say how your mom said it, Mom.
Damn, that's hard. Pressure.
Cô nói
yeah, có yo chỉ từ JPR. And I'm like...
And I'm telling you this, that fucking hits different. Mm-hmm. It's scary. I just felt chills right now. Like, I'm like, fuck, I know I fucked up. And that's not my mom.
But my mom said it in, like... She says it in her sweet voice, but you know it's fucking scary. Yeah. You know what I mean? In their motherly voice.
She's probably, like, half tired, huh? She was like...
Yeah, she was like, oh... And I'm like, yeah. I'm just like... And then she kept saying, like, oh, and you just want to, like, go far away.
The Asian trip.
And I was like, no, Mom. Like, what do you mean I don't love you? Like, I'm moving out so that we could have a better future. Like, you don't see it now, but think about it, you know?
Yeah.
And me and my mom were going back and forth. She was at her bedroom. They were sitting down on the edge of the bed, and I was, like, at my bedroom door. And I was, like, trying to reason with her, because my mom, like, I can reason with her. I talk with her. And she was just like, no, like, why would you do that? Okay, here's another story, though. Flashback a couple weeks ago, I keep going out late to study, to hang out with my ex-boyfriend at that time, right?
Yeah.
And she was, like, I get yelled at a lot, because I don't do what they want me to do.
Yeah.
And she was like, if you're gonna keep going out like that, you're gonna have to start paying rent for your room. Just you, though. Your brothers, nah, they don't have to.
They do. Like
just you. That. Yeah, they fucking said that to me. And I was like, okay, if you want me to help you pay the bills, I can give you money for it.
What's the point of paying for your bills when you could do that when you move out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I give them money, like, if I have money, you know, because I bought my car by myself. Mm-hmm. And I pay my own insurance bills, you know, I pay for my phone bill, and they pay for the roof that I'm living under, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you need help, like, let me know. But don't say it like that to me, because I feel disrespected that you want me to pay bills because you think that I'm not worth living in this house. Mm-hmm. If you need help paying bills, like, just let me know. But no, like, she was going off, and so... They basically were saying, if you're not going to listen to me, then move the fuck out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'll move the fuck out.
And it's sad to say that, you know, that happens a lot in Asian families, because I don't want to say Hmong families, because I know it happens in other, like, in, like, Chinese families and households and stuff like that. It just sucks, because it's like they're hella giving you the guilt trip, and then later on, they act like they didn't fucking say all that shit.
I know. Yeah. Okay, let me get to the part... Oh my god, I have so much to tell you about this, because it's been sitting in the back of my mind. I haven't really told anyone what happened. But
y'all hear that? You guys are the first.
You guys are the first people to hear this. Like, seriously, detailed version. Yeah, and so we start talking, and then my dad walks down the hallway towards us, and we both go silent. Because when my dad comes, you don't fucking talk back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, I heard you were leaving. And I was like, yeah, I'm leaving. I already signed the lease. You know, like, mm-hmm. I paid my deposit. And he was like, no, you're fucking not. Mm-hmm. You're not fucking leaving. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you're going to go and tell your friend that you are not going to move in and you need your money back and you don't want the lease signed anymore. or else I want you out of the house tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I was so mad. Like, you don't say shit back, because he takes it out on my mom if I say shit back.
Yeah.
And so I was like, whatever.
Because so the thing is like, because the reason why they do that is because the wife is responsible to raising her daughter.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
He didn't raise you.
Exactly.
She raised you. So and I totally get that, because that's like I see that not just in my family, but in other people's family. You know what I mean? And it could be even as extreme as this, or even micro, right?
Exactly.
And if the kids didn't fucking do the dishes, the husband's definitely gonna go talk to the mom about it. Oh, how come you didn't tell the kids to do the dishes? When the mom's like, I already fucking told them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this to diss on my parents, you know?
Yeah.
And if you guys take offense to this, it's not my problem. I'm just saying my truth, and this is what went down.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't think it's an issue, then it's not an issue, you know? Like, I understand my parents grew up in a different era. The way they were raised is different.
Definitely.
The way they take things and take it onto children are different, whether it be good or bad. And so this is just my truth, and I'm not trying to break anyone's eggs or anything. Like, trust and believe. The world knows it without me saying shit.
Yeah, I mean, and then, you know what? Like, this is the raw truth of what happens in a colored person's house, to be honest.
Yeah.
A person of color, things like this happen. And because I know that this is probably happening in even, you know, it could be happen in like a Mexican person's house or something, household, like a Latinx person's house, or it can be like even happen to even to like African Americans. You know, it's not just like Asians themselves. And I think this is just happens. Like, this is just how ethnic people really, well, parents, especially if they're very traditional, this is how they deal with it.
It's a very strong, like, family community. Like, you value family before anything else. And so when you break out of it, they're like, no, you're not, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's also a part of the being a Hmong American, though, right?
Yes.
Because you were born here, raised here, and it's really hard because you try to live that American dream to be successful, but you can't fully live it because you have very traditional parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that still withhold those traditions.
Exactly. And people see me and they're like, no way your parents are traditional. I'm like, yeah, I got a lot of luxury for this.
Told me that? Like, I remember you told me, you're like, well, your parents are traditional. I'm like, bitch, I thought they weren't either. We're on the same page. I thought they were, like, I didn't know they were traditional all of a sudden, but we could definitely go on a different, verse,
yeah, I have a lot to say about that too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and so I was like, I just told my dad, like, okay, I'm not moving out, just to get him off my ass. And so he's like, okay, good. And then the night goes on, and I'm, like, freaking out. And so it's, like, 4 a.m., and I'm like, fuck, like, I have to get out of here, because I can't wake up the next morning and tell him that I'm moving out, because then I have to deal with that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, dealing with them tonight was already really exhausting. And so I end up sneaking out of the house, and, like my parents' room is right across from mine. And it's loud, right? If you're gonna move shit out. So I was like, I'm gonna wait a couple hours for them to fall asleep, and then sneak out the garage, through the garage door, and out the back gate into my car. And so I take like 5-6 trips, like taking my stuff out, being really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like the saddest moment of my life, like running out of the house like that. I didn't want it to happen that way, but I was like, I can't wake up the next morning and be there and then have to wait and like face my parents who don't agree to me moving out, because it's going to discourage me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had to do what I needed to do at the moment. And I was texting my sister at that time, and she was with her boyfriend, because she
wasn't living there.
Yeah, she wasn't living home anymore, because she also got kicked out by my parents. So they didn't learn the lesson, obviously.
Apparently not.
And so I drive, and I like park at a parking lot, and like I spend the night there. And the next morning I go live with a close friend of mine,
mm-hmm.
For a week before my lease was being signed. And so moving out, like, my dad was like, I'm never talking to you again, you know. Yeah. Obviously I kept going, like, after like three months like of being on my own, I went back home, and like no one talked to me. Yeah. But I just kept coming, because I'm like, this is my home, and my mom wants me here, and fuck you guys. So
Yeah, because your mom contacted you, right, after she was one of the first ones, right, to contact
yeah,
you.
so yeah, I moved out, and then the next day, no one called me, no one texted me, like no one wondered where I was at. They thought I was still at my ex-boyfriend's house. Okay.
What?
Yeah,
But
so
you guys were already long separated, though.
yeah, but they thought that we were just kidding. So like me and my ex-boyfriend broke up in March, right?
Yeah.
And I moved out like 2 months later.
Uh-huh.
And they thought that we were still like, because we were like hanging out here and there to like see
After
where it was
the whole split,
going.
yeah.
But it was basically, I wasn't too sure what I wanted, and so I was like, not. I would say I used that excuse that my parents thought I was with my ex-boyfriend to do whatever I wanted to do at that time to help myself.
Yeah, it's like you didn't tell them that, but you knew they were thinking that.
Yeah, exactly. And so
Yeah.
they thought my sister told me that they thought I was at, my ex-boyfriend's house at that time, and I was like, oh, definitely no, like, nasty, nah, like, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't until Wednesday or Thursday that my mom sent me a music video, not even a text message or a call, a music video saying like she's so sad that I broke our family bond.
Dramatic.
Yeah. I was like, are you serious?
I'm gonna take that hint from your mom and send us a video whenever I'm upset with Justin.
Do it.
This is how I feel after you said that I couldn't. This is how I feel when you said no to me.
Dude, I did that with my situationship, and it was the stupidest thing ever. Like childish, like Instagram story music. You're supposed to know how I feel from like the lyrics that I post.
Oh no, Justin would know that if I did that to him, he's been telling me like, shut the fuck up, like you're being so annoying.
Dramatic as fuck.
Being dramatic as fuck.
Yeah.
You'll call me out on it, yeah.
And then I just sent her a voice message saying, yeah, I'm with my friend, we're fine, I'm fine, don't worry about me. And no response, like just music videos as the week progresses.
She kept sending?
She just kept sending me sad, like music, like moan music.
Maybe she can't say it, like she doesn't know how to say it, so she just sends you like, I listened to a song, send up a chat, she'll get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think she got a lot of updates of me through my sister because I was still in contact with her.
Your little sister, right?
My older sister.
Your older sister. Oh,
my little sister, like, I didn't tell her I wasn't close to her. Like, we were really close when she was like a little baby, and then I went off to college and I got really busy, and so for those 3 years I didn't really get close to her. And she always tells me now today, yeah, I don't like your ex-boyfriend because you're always with him and you never hung out with me.
I am so sorry because I agree with her. And
No
I wasn't even close with you, but girl, I saw it. Like,
no comment. I tried to make a relationship work. Apparently, I was being too much.
I feel like, I don't think you were being too much to him. I don't think you were, but I feel like you didn't give yourself enough credit. Yeah,
I agree.
You didn't give yourself enough credit, and that will be on the next episode. By the way, we'll definitely talk about that. But yeah, by the way, if you're planning to move out and you are graduating high school and you're trying to move out and so you can have your own life in college, I think it's the best idea ever because, I didn't do that. I missed the chance of doing that because I was too fucking scared. And not just that, but I just kept being told constantly, like, don't do that because why are you going to do that for when if you live at home, you save a lot more money, which is true. It's true, but you don't grow as a person. Though, like,
right,
you really don't. And I can say that now that, like, Patricia's like way younger than me, and she has grown as a woman and as a person by just living her own. Because for me, I'm just kind of like, I still depend on my parents, but but it's hard. If the things that you want is hard, no one ever said the things that you want in life are gonna be easy.
Exactly.
No, and I'm glad that, I see now that you're good with your parents now.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. Oh, and also Patricia lives by a train track.
Yeah, there we go. Cut until the train goes by.
Yeah.
The first thing that really, like, because me and my parents have a lot of tension because I don't listen to what they want. Like,
yeah.
Not in terms of being a person. Like, I'm a good person, you know. I go to school, I do everything. I have a job, I bought my own car. But I went out late. I hung out with my boyfriend, and they didn't like that. That was the only thing. And so I had a lot of tension between them about that. But when I got broken up with by my ex-boyfriend, they said that it was my fault and that I wasn't good enough, and they didn't raise me good enough, and that's why they didn't want me. And so they put a lot of pressure on themselves, and that led to more tension between us. And when they found out that I was talking to other guys, they're like, I don't like this that you're talking to other people. Like, my mom was like, you should stay single until you graduate.
And especially if they weren't mom.
Yes, a really big one. Oh, you better not be talking to a white guy over there. Like, every
what
time
I've been
on the phone.
Money.
I know. And I'm like, Mom, some of these people are my friends from, like, ITSS. Like, come on.
Oh, man. You know, God. Honestly, like, you probably had the biggest change in COVID between you and I. Like, I can't compare to that. I mean, I think the one thing I did, I think that was I think the only thing I did was just honestly ultimately quitting a job, sadly, you know, and actually switching. Oh, no. That was one of them. But it was dropping out.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole different struggle of its own, though.
That was, yeah. So now because we're talking about post, right, COVID, I would say that one of the biggest changes was me dropping out. But I dropped out so I can work more, and then I ended up quitting a job. I remember just dropping out. I was just like, fuck it, I couldn't do it because my sister got married, my little sister got married, and, you know, I was like, I was also going through a hard time trying to accept that she was leaving me. You know what I mean? Because if you guys don't know, like, my sister and I, she's my only sister, you know? So, like, and we've been roommates since she was born. Like, we've been together, like, sleeping together in the same bed, same room our whole lives. Because my parents were only able to afford, like, a 3-bedroom house with, like, 2 bathrooms, right? And so it's like, and I've lived in a mobile home my whole life. And so, like, we were always so tight, right? And we spent a lot of time together. So when she was leaving, I was just, like, devastated. You know what I mean? And, you know, I think that's the reason why I cried a lot during her bridal shower because I had to fucking make a speech. God, I wasn't even talking; I was crying the whole time. And no, she makes fun of me every time. But I was just so heartbroken. But then I was so happy for her too, right? Because like I'm glad that she's finally doing the next thing in her life, which is getting married,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
Which, I'm so proud of her, and she's living very happily, and so. I think ultimately, like, because I was going through that, I was also taking a lot of, like, roles at home, too. When I was working and going to school, I had no time for family. And I value a lot of family time and a lot of, like, basically my social times, you know? So I was just kind of, okay, fuck it. And plus, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I was like, do I want to study psychology? People say it's easy just to get a bachelor's, you know, and I can do that. Or do I want to do multicultural gender studies? I'm like, I freaking love learning that shit. I was like, what career am I gonna do with that?
Yeah.
At least for psychology, I could get something with it, right?
Yeah.
But with multicultural, I was like, I had no idea where I was gonna go with that. And then I was like, okay, so if I'm torn by two, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But I really just felt like, I was like, nah, I ain't trying to do this, right? I literally dropped out. You know, I told my parents. They were like, okay, well, what do you... All they want to know is, what are you going to do?
That's all they ever want to know.
They want to make sure you can survive. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do my own self-business and run my own type of thing. Make my own money, not just through school. They were cool with it. They said as long as, you know, I'm happy and stuff, because I think at this point my parents are like, we're not going to try to push our kids, because they realize that we when we do that, then like our kids will like lash back, right?
Yeah.
And so, which I love that my parents are kind of noticing that now, you know, because now that we have my baby brother who's like going to be 5 in a couple of days, they kind of see it with him and with us. So they literally all their kids, like all the kids that they have is different stages. They have a toddler, and they still have a teen, and they have an adult. Yeah. So it's like the different stages in life, so they're kind of like, oh my god,
they finally see it, like how it works.
They freaking see it. And so I love my mom and dad for them finally realizing that too. And then also the fact that, like, I think they know that I'll be okay, because they know how I am, my personality, and what I love to do already. They know that, oh, we're not worried about her. You know what I mean? Okay, people say when you hit 20, you get lost. Hell no. I was lost as soon as I was like 18. As soon as I was 18, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
Dude, I was lost when I was like 13 years old. High school, I was like,
dude. But I mean, like, well, because I'm talking, like, okay, like, I see what you mean when you say it, but, like, I mean, like, when people are like, go out to the world.
Oh.
That kind of lost. Because I was like, fuck, I don't even know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I was forced to thinking that I was good for teaching. Jeez. Well, that was a crazy post COVID. I mean, we still are a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, going back into normal life.
Yeah, but I guess we should end it off with, what do you think the future would be like with COVID? Like, what do you think your life would be like? If COVID had to be, like,
a thing
to always, like, let's just say our situation now will always happen, right? What do you think your future would look like?
I think, I mean, you know, as most things, they become normalized. After we went into lockdown, like, that was the biggest change. But now that everything's opening up again,
it was like jumping off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
Just cut. Boom.
And so it's just gonna be one of, I hate to say this, I sound like a conservative white man. It's just gonna be one of those viruses that, like the flu or like Ebola, you know.
We hope, though. We hope
Fingers
that
crossed.
It does that. Yeah, just so we can live normal again. Yeah. But, you know, I can agree. I mean, I hope for that, but then we also have to hope for the fact that if this is going to be with us forever, I just hope we don't have to take any more flu shots. I mean, COVID shots.
The booster shots.
Yeah. I hope we don't have to take a lot of those anymore, because we don't know what it would do to our body if we had too many of those, you know?
Because there's no, I mean, because it just got released, so there's no long-term study. Like, the flu shots it's been here, so we know, like, flu shots not
we don't know what's going to be like when we have kids with that in us, you know what I mean? I mean, all the things, right? And
to not make it too political, but it's definitely health conscious decision.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it where we're being conspiracy theorists either, but I just feel like if the future ends up being what we are now, like how we are now, I don't know, I have a feeling that either something really good's gonna happen or something really bad's gonna happen. Yeah. So I just want to end this podcast with saying that, you know, a lot of people have struggled before COVID happened, during COVID, with the lockdown happened, and now post-COVID. And we just want you guys to comment down below what are some struggles that you did in these three little areas: before, during, and post. So just let us know. We love to hear from you guys. And if you guys don't feel comfortable, you know, sharing on the comments, you guys can always email us. We love to read them, and maybe we'll make a video of reading your guys' anonymous stories if you guys like.
I would love that. I would love if you all shared.
I would
stories.
love that, and we will actually have one of the episodes where if you guys want advice, we'll do an advice podcast section where if you guys need some help with either relationships or a choice you want to make in the future, or it can be about some family things that you feel that you need help from another person who, like, for example, when Bachir talked about her moving out. If you guys want to talk about that, she's definitely the right person that she can answer and help you with that. Relationships, I was told I'm pretty good at giving out advices on that. Well, depending what it is, because I didn't experience it all, guys. Like, I'm not a love guru, okay? And also too, and many more things you guys need help with. Definitely, please keep in touch with us on our social medias on Facebook and Instagram. That will be below in the description below. We'll also put our email down below too, so you guys can contact us and tell us your stories, because we would love to hear from you guys, because we would love to know that we're not the only ones struggling here, you know what I mean? And you guys are not either. You're not alone. So thank you so much. Please like and share, and stay tuned for our next episode next week on Wednesday. Thank you. Bye.